This is the 7th video in the series Forward 2013, and in this video I wanted to talk about table of contents. When you're writing a book or a research paper, you can have a first page which shows table of contents. And we'll also look at citations and endnotes a little bit. So I'm going to start with a blank document. And because I want to get some content, so I'm going to do what I did previously, equal RAND, D for David, bracket, and I'm going to put, say I want 30 paragraphs, comma, and each paragraph should have 10 lines. And I'll hit enter. So now I'll end up having a whole bunch of pages. So let's see, how many pages do I have? 7 pages. If you look on the left hand side on the bottom, it's showing me that I have 7 pages. Okay, so let me just come to the top of the page. So now what I want to do is I want to make it like as if I'm writing either a book or I'm writing like a research paper. So I'll just, for example, I'll put chapter 1 title. So this is like my chapter 1. And for you to make table of contents work, what we have to use is we have to take the headings into account, the styles headings, because these are the styles which will tell the table of contents to take these titles and use it in the table of contents. So that's the way Word will understand it. So I'll highlight this title, and because this is like my main title, I'll make it heading 1. And I'll just scroll down a little and say up here I'm going to hit enter, and I wanted to add like a section 1.a. Now because this is like a subsection within the chapter, I'm going to highlight it and make it heading 2. So you get the idea, like when there is a main chapter, chapter 2 will be heading 1, chapter 2.a will be heading 2. Now if I had section 1.a.1, that would be heading 3. Okay, so I'll do one example of that. So I'll just scroll down a little, and maybe on page 2 somewhere I'll enter here and I'll type section 1.a.1, and I'll make this heading 3, and you'll see this when I make my table of contents. You will see that in action. Now I'll scroll down. Now say for example here I wanted to this line starting was my chapter 2 and I forgot to do this. So in the previous video I talked about breaks, so I'll introduce that concept here too. So I can go to page layout, under breaks I'll choose in this case next page break, so that it will take everything that starts after this line and it will put it on a new page. And there it is. Now up here I'll put the chapter 2 and I'll highlight this. I'll go to home and I'll make this heading 1. And I'll just do a few more like that. Up here I'll just enter and then I'll type section 2.a and I'll make this heading 2. Now in the previous video I also talked about how you can control sections within the same chapter. So in this case, say I wanted to make this paragraph on its own. So what I do is I can click here or here, and then I go to page layout and I put a break, but I put a continuous break because I don't want the section to start on the new page. I want it to start on that same page in the same place. And you see it shows me in this diagram how the red line is starting in the same place. In the next page it's starting on a new page. So I'll click that and I'll click at the end of this paragraph and I'll go to breaks and I'll put a continuous break. Now you don't see the break because you need to go to home and then press the show and hide button so that my breaks are visible, because I can click in front of them and then I can hit delete to remove it. Now why is this useful? Because I can go to, say for example, page layout, and I can go to margins, custom margins. Now I can make this section, you see on the bottom is showing me that this is going to apply to this section because I clicked in it, and I can make the margins on the left say 0.4 and on the right 0.4. so now they have a different margin than the rest of the page. So this is the way section breaks come into play. So I'll just go back down here and say from this point onwards I wanted to start chapter 3, so I can go back to break and put the next page, so everything goes to the new page. I'll type chapter 3, I'll highlight it, I'll go to home, and I'll make it heading 1. And I'll do maybe just, up here I'll put section 3.A, highlight it, make it heading 2, and I'll do one more somewhere. Okay, last page. I can put section 3.A.1, and this will be heading 2. Oh, I think this will be heading 3, sorry, because I used the previous one. This should have been heading 2. Okay, so I've got all my headings in place. Now I'm going to click in front here, and let's see, I'll insert a blank page, because the table of contents goes usually on the first page of your chapters. So I'll click it. Now I'll come up because I've got a blank page above it, and I can just delete it so that there is nothing there. And I can go to home, and I can just make it no spacing, so there is no confusion there, any formatting carrying over from the previous thing. And I'll go to references, and in the references I'll go to table of contents, and I can choose any of these designs. So say I choose this one, and let's see what happened here. So you see, there it is, chapter 1 section 1.A, and it is indented according to the heading style. Now whenever you make changes, you just click here and you just update the entire table. So let's see, we'll just practice one. I'll scroll down to maybe the chapter 3, and I'll put something in here, section 3.B, and I'll go to home, highlight this, and I'll make it heading style 2. So let's see, if I go back to my main page, I'll click here, update, I'll choose update entire table, and there it is. 3.B shows up with the page number, and the page numbers will also get updated if you go back and start making changes. I'm just going to turn off the show and hide. So table of contents are really useful in automatically getting it in. So if you're writing a book or a research paper, this is very handy. The next thing I want to talk about, and which is also part of references, is about adding citations. So when you're writing a book or a research paper and you get information from the internet or from a book, you need to cite it, and then you can add a bibliography at the end. And there are different styles that I use for citation. APA is one style which is most common, but you'll find that there are different styles, so you can check what kind of a style do they want, and then the bibliography will be added accordingly. So let's practice some of this. So I'll just come down to here and say up here I want to say that I got some information here from a book. So I can go to insert citation, add new source, and now this is the book. If it was like a book section, then I can choose book section, and then I can click and I can put the name of the author, the title of the book, and you'll find that sometimes you get confused about what is this field and what is this field. So when you click in here, it will tell you what information should go in there, and you'll find that they are repeating it, but you'll find that they give you examples of what needs to be going in there, so you can type and just follow that example. So I'm just filling up the information from the book itself, and I click OK. And it will put something there which is the APA style, where it puts the last name of the author and then the year it was published. So somebody was looking at it, they'll go to the bibliography, look in the alphabetical order, and find the word do. So we'll do that in a few minutes. And I'll just scroll down and say up here I want to add a internet. So I got some information from the internet. So I'm going to add a citation here, add a new source, and I'll say that I got this information from a website. So now again it wants me to type the name of the author, name of the web page, if that page had a name. You know, sometimes certain web pages have a name. Name of the website, the year that you came across it. So you can put, so say I came across it 2013. So I'm typing August because up here on the bottom in the example they say August, so I cannot put 08. And then the URL, so whatever the URL, you just copy and paste it. So you need to put the whole exact URL so that somebody can click on it and they can read more about it. And I click OK. So wherever you need it as you're writing, you'll keep doing it. Now I'll go to the end of the page, my last page. I'll click here and I'll insert a blank page. So because it's at the end, it's going to add a page after this. And I'll click here and I'll insert the bibliography. So I go to References, Bibliography, and then you can choose any one of those. Click it and scroll up a little, and there it is. And it puts the whole information here. So whenever you want, you can come back and update it. So again, if I go in and add something here, I insert a citation, add a new source for a book, and I'll just follow this. So I've added it. Now all I have to do is go to the last page, click in here, choose update, and it is updated. So that's it in terms of adding bibliography. So very handy feature so that you don't have to keep on making changes to it, and also trying to remember what comes first and what information needs to go where. It will automatically do this for you. So along with the table of contents and bibliography, you can also add footnotes. Footnotes are, you know, when you're reading a book, it will say 1, and then you look on the bottom of the page and it explains to you in more detail. And then they you can also track endnotes. Endnotes are usually that go at the end, kind of a thing, where you can read more about it. So let's see. So if I wanted to put a footnote here, this is page 4 that I'm on, and I can insert a footnote here. And you see right away it takes me down. And if I just scroll up, you should see where I had clicked, it put the number 1 there. And you see there it is, footnote. So if I click here and I try to add a footnote here, it will put number 2 there, and now I have to just leave a note for the second footnote. So every page it will start with 1 because it's just going to be looking at it on the bottom. Now the same way for EndNote. So if I click EndNote, you'll find that it automatically takes me all the way to the bottom of the document. And now here, this is my EndNote. Now if I go back to page 4, it should say next to that section something. So this is page 5, and there it is. So you see it puts like that I thing, and when I point to it, it says this is my EndNote. So that EndNote shows up here what I typed at the end. So footnotes and EndNote. And within references, you also see the options to add indexes. So you can mark an entry. That is, a lot of time when you read a book, at the end of the book, it has an index. So you can look at it and see on what page, what topic, or what thing got mentioned. So you can actually mark them. So wherever I wanted, I could click, and I can click on the word mark entry, and then I can type the word, in this case, device, which is the main entry. And if it was like this topic was part of a major entry, then I could type the major topic, and then the sub entry will be device, and I just click mark, and it puts a weird thing there, so you don't have to worry about that. It will go away once you turn off the show and hide. It turns it off. Now when you go to the last page and you add a index, these things will show up. So just to show you quickly, say I'll just click here, up here maybe, and I'll add a index, mark entry, and from references, mark, close this. Let's see, I'll see some more maybe. Okay, I'll do a gallery here, and I'll click mark, and I'll close this. Now I'll just go to the last page, click here, and I'll insert a blank page up here. I'll have to click here, not the EndNote. And here I'll try to go to references, insert index, and you can choose whether you want one column or two columns, and then you click OK, and there it is. So it tells me that I mentioned galleries on page number 5, device on page number 4, online video on page number 4. So I'll just go back to home and turn off the show and hide. So then here's my index. So that's it for this video. We talked about table of contents, which you can apply by using the heading 1s and heading 2 styles and heading 3 styles. And you can also insert footnotes and endnotes. You can insert the indexes also, and also insert citations, and you can add the bibliography at the end. And the good thing is, when you make mistakes, you just go back to manage sources and it just update. So say I typed the spelling mistake in dough, I can just edit it and say this, instead of dough it was done. I just make the changes here and the updates will have happened everywhere. So I don't have to worry about making changes to everything. Even in the table of contents, you'll find that there's some option where you can do custom table of contents, and then you can choose how many levels you want to go to, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. You can also say make it also heading 4. So you can apply that if you needed it. Thank you for watching, and we'll do some more things in the next video. And because I want to get some content, so I'm going to do what I did previously, equal RAND, D for David, bracket, and I'm going to put, say I want 30 paragraphs, comma, and each paragraph should have 10 lines, and I'll hit enter. So now I'll end up having a whole bunch of pages. So let's see, how many pages do I have? 7 pages. If you look on the left hand side on the bottom, it's showing me that I have 7 pages. Okay, so let me just come to the top of the page. So now what I want to do is I want to make it like as if I'm writing either a book or I'm writing like a research paper. So I'll just, for example, I'll put titles and use it in the table of contents. So that's the way Word will understand it. So I'll highlight this title, and because this is like my main title, I'll make it heading 1. And I'll just scroll down a little. And say up here I'm going to hit enter, and I wanted to add like a section. This is the 7th video in the series Forward 2013, and in this video I wanted to talk about table of contents. When you're writing a book or a research paper, you can have like a first page which shows table of contents. And we'll also look at citations and endnotes a little bit. So I'm going to start with a blank document, chapter 1 title. So this is like my chapter 1, And for you to make table of contents work, what we have to use is we have to take the headings into account, the styles headings, because these are the styles which will tell the table of contents to take these